How are y'all doing today? Um, so this is our first Facebook Live for World Outreach Revival Center's Children's Ministry. I just want to say hey to all the church family out there and all my Facebook family and friends. Today I'm going over Genesis 39 through 41, and that's talking about Joseph. Last week we talked about Joseph in the coat of many colors, and we learned how Joseph was so faithful with God he would have dreams and visions, and his brothers were jealous of him. And his mother made him a coat that had many colors and was very special to him. And he found favor not just in God but in his family. And his jealous brothers got so jealous of him one day that they decided to sell him into slavery. And they stripped him of his coat and they covered it with sheep's blood, brought it back to his parents, and told him that a lion had attacked him. And for years after that, that's what his family believed. Well, this week we're going to learn about what really happened to him. So after he was sold into slavery, he was bought by Potiphar, who was a royal guard, and Potiphar made him a servant in his house. Well, he served for a few years with Potiphar in his house as a loyal servant and stayed faithful to God. Well, Potiphar was married. He had a wife who sought favor in Joseph. It says in my Bible that Joseph was a handsome man, and she wanted to have a relationship with Joseph, and Joseph told her, "Why should I sin? For it is a sin to commit adultery." And she got mad. It says that she screamed and Joseph ran out. Well, when Potiphar came by, she told a lie and had Joseph arrested. And there Joseph sat in the jail for another, I think it was 2 years. And while he was in jail, he was still so faithful to God. And the prison guard found favor in that and made him his lead servant. Well, the lead cupbearer and another royal guard of Pharaoh, who was the king at the time in Jerusalem, they were both sent to prison because Pharaoh just was unpleased with them and didn't want anything to do with them. And they had dreams. So Joseph was sent to them to tend them in their prison cell, and they start telling Joseph about his dream. And so Joseph sits down and says, "Well, the Lord can interpret your dream." And so they start talking a little bit more about it, and Joseph tells the first one that God will find favor in you, and within 3 days you will be back at the right hand of Pharaoh. Sure enough, within 3 days he was back. The next one, Joseph goes to, and he starts talking, and he explains that within 3 days he would be hanged for his crime. And he said, "Don't fear, for this is the Lord's vision." And so within 3 days he was hung. Well, it says that the cupbearer had forgot by this time of Joseph, and that Pharaoh was asleep one night and had a dream. He couldn't figure out what the dream meant. He was torn because of it, and all broke to pieces. His heart was broken, and he went to all his wise men. His wise men couldn't tell him, and he started getting a little frustrated. Well, then the cupbearer remembered Joseph and said, "There is a man in the jail who goes by the name of Joseph that can interpret your dream. He interpreted mine for me, and that's why I'm sitting here by you at your right hand again." And so they went and got Joseph, and Joseph said, "It's not I that can interpret your dream, but it is God." Well, Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dream, and then he ends up being offered a spot and position in the royal court with Pharaoh, and starts working side by side right under Pharaoh. And it says that there came a famine across the land, and all the fields and crops were wiped out. All that was left was the food that Pharaoh's kingdom had stored. So Pharaoh starts feeding his people, trying to take care of the kingdom. Well, Joseph's family comes from the far land to get food because they had none. And it says that Joseph's family was reunited and his parents were in shock. But it says because Joseph stayed faithful to God, everything was restored. You know, right now we're in a time with the coronavirus and a few other things that are going on. We have a bunch of crisis, and I know it can be real scary to y'all. And that goes for kids and adults too. You know, things might be even a little bit stressful at home. But with that being said, you know, don't lose hope. You know, keep strong, have faith in God, because He can pull you through things and do great things in your life. You know, Joseph went through slavery where he was tortured and treated like the lowest of the low, and he stayed faithful to God, and God brought him out of that and put him higher than what his dreams were. He was second in command to Pharaoh, who was the king of the land. You know, I don't know what God has in store for us, but I do believe if we stick it out and we stay faithful to God, He can pull us through it. You know, and there's a song that we used to sing when I was in Bible school that I wanted to share with y'all today. It goes, "God is bigger than the boogeyman. He's bigger than Godzilla and the monsters on TV." And it has a few other verses, but I just wanted y'all to hear that because, you know, no matter what we face, God is big enough to overcome it. And so if you have any fear or doubt in your life right now, just remember God is bigger than that. I appreciate y'all for watching, and God bless y'all. Thanks.